Hey everyone, I'm Bill. I'm with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to A&S Motorcycles here in Sacramento, California. It's a hot one today. We're almost 90 degrees, but I get to ride this hot bike. This is a 701 Husqvarna Vitpilen. Yes, you probably have never even seen these. This is the first time I've ever seen one in person, and it's actually part of A&S's collection of used bikes. So let's get geared up. Let's take a look around the bike and get out on the road. What's up, everyone? All right, so the Vitpilen. I just feel like you have to call it that. You have to say it like that. The Vitpilen. This thing weighs 350 pounds, single cylinder, 75 horsepower. Husqvarna 701, 701, babe, 701 cc's out of one cylinder. Crazy. So, whew. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. The seat ain't comfortable at all. It's like the cinder block. Oh, listen to the thumper. The Vitpilen. So we're ready to roll. So I came in and Randy says to me, he says, hey, what are you gonna ride today? I was like, oh, you know, I really wanted to ride the R1250 R and RS. And he says, I got a bike for you to ride. And I go back into their used collection of bikes. Yes, they sell a bunch of used motorcycles, so if you guys are looking for a used bike, give Randy a call, because the Vitpilen is up for sale. I've only seen one 701 Husqvarna in real life. I've never seen a Vitpilen, so this is rad to be able to be on one. 75 horsepower, 56, I believe, foot-pounds of torque, so nothing major. Little single cylinder thumper. It's got a little go to it, though. It's got a little bit of go for a one cylinder. So the Vitpilen, they didn't make many of these. I don't know the exact number. It's not a limited production, but essentially it is, because they're not making many of these Vitpilens, because, you know, Husqvarna, I would say, is there's not many Husqvarna dealers, so the people that sell the Husqvarnas, there's not many of them, and you know, they might get one or two of these. So for the price point, I think people go in different directions. But if you like that cafe racer style and you like that futuristic look, this is by far the choice to go with. If it's, I mean, it's just got it marks all of the boxes if you're looking for a cool cafe racer style bike. Now the digital display, I would have rathered it up a slight more. I'm losing the display a little bit in the sun, but we do have some modes that we can go through as far as our tripometers and stuff like that. There's no riding modes. It's one riding mode, go or don't go. So it's kind of hard to see the dash, so I wish it was up a teeny bit more out of the sun. Got our single headlight, and it has had a few modifications. Obviously the mirrors have been relocated to the bar ends. I don't mind the bar end mirrors. I wish they were a tad larger, but these are some cheap ones. I would have recommended something different. And I think they have done a license plate delete on this, and they've moved the license plate up higher a little bit. But the thing runs great. You know, you don't feel the motor much, the thumper motor. These are, we call them thumper motors because they do, you know, they thump a lot. There's a lot of vibration. But right now, suspension feels good. I don't mind the suspension. The seat, horrible, absolutely horrible. I love my cushy seat, you guys know that. And I always complain about the seats when I don't like them, and I don't like this seat. It's basically it's very, very hard. But you know what's crazy is I push on it and it feels like a very nice memory foam, but it just, when I'm sitting on it, it just feels like I'm sitting on a cinder block. So the seat isn't great, but nothing much to it. We've got our Brembo brakes. We've got our single cylinder front brake in the front, pretty decent sized monoblock Brembo, and we do have our Brembo Master up here, so full Brembo system, which is very, very nice. I like when people stick with the one system. BMW's got Hayes front brakes on the S1000, Brembo rear brake, and a Nissan Master. So Brembo all the way around. Brakes are decent. You can tell there's one brake basically, or you know, one caliper. So it's very much like the R3. But of course we're pushing much more horsepower than the little R3. You know, the little R3 is pushing, you know, 40 horsepower. So we're almost doubled. But I guess Husqvarna didn't feel that the 75 horsepower bike should have the dual front calipers, but adequate for your around town. You know, clearly we're not doing any big touring on the bike, or we're not going to be doing any major riding. You know, this is going to definitely be more cafe style, around town style bike, maybe up in some small twisties. But we're not going up to Tahoe, we're not going up to Sierra Nevadas to do any twisty tours on this thing. But being as light and nimble as this bike is, I like it because it's there's just like, the thing just flips around. There's like nothing there. So it's very, the weight of this thing, you feel how light this thing is. I mean, it's immediately apparent that this bike has, there's no weight to this bike at all. The weight of it is pretty low. Looking at it, you can see the kind of motor is below my knees, so that's very nice. Looks like stock rear sets, but I will say the front peg is a little bit, the shifter is a little bit high. So when I'm going to shift, kind of have to put my foot up higher to get the shifter. So it might be an adjustability thing. But the weight of this thing is incredible. I mean, just and the handling. So this does have, I know I'm going to butcher this. I know what they are. I know it's like WSP or WPS suspension. So very, very nice suspension, and I feel it. It feels great. I don't complain about this suspension at all. It's a little rough in the rump, but I think that's more of the seat. Now I'm scooting back a tad more. Now where my knees fit, my knees kind of fit under the hump of this. If you guys can see this, my feet, or my knees, fit under it, so it's very nice. And then right here is where that 701 is. This tank is by far the coolest design tank I've ever seen. It's by far the coolest on any bike right now. Not much expectations going into this because I've never ridden a Husqvarna before, ever. So this is a little bit different to be able to be on the Husqvarna. But let alone a single cylinder. I've never ridden I lie. So I have ridden a single cylinder, an old Suzuki, like 600s. It was like a big single cylinder. It was like big bore. So, but that was years and years and years ago. So when I say years ago, I'm talking 10, 15 years. All right, never mind, 20 years ago. Fine, 20 years ago. So let's squeeze through because this thing's so small, and Bogna's on a little Ducati back there. So she's got some squeezing room. So it looks like they have put some different levers up here. Maybe. I'm not sure if they've got different levers on it because they feel shorty. They feel like I've got short levers on there. But you can see the suspension, or the steering's very loose. So it's the steering ability, the steerability is very nice. You can definitely, kind of get in between some traffic and kind of work it around. And again, this thing is so lightweight. It's easy just throwing this thing around. It's really not a challenge. So let's see performance of this thing. Let's test out its performanceability. I don't know. It's a silly day. It's probably the heat today because it's like 95 degrees, and of course we're completely geared up, and it's a hot one, guys. So when I left the dealership, that's kind of interesting. It took quite a while for the fuel range to come on. So it does have a fuel range. We've got 50 miles. We've got just over a half a tank. 75 horsepower right there. I'm a little impressed. I can't lie. I didn't expect much out of a single cylinder 75 horsepower. When I put it in perspective of the R3, where we're just, if we're pushing 40 horsepower, good luck, right? But this thing's got some go to it. It's very, very cool to have as much go as this thing's got. So back on the back on our freeway, what we call the freeway demo. Let's see if this light changes. I always like to be able to get this light where I can take this right, but of course we're going to have some traffic over to the left, so it's not going to happen. I can kind of check the cornering because this corner is not aggressive, but it's a good corner. So back here we can get up to our freeway speeds and show you guys how it performs on the freeway. And it is a little bit of a bumpier road back here. And so suspension is a little rough in the rear, like I said earlier. But the front end feels very nice as far as suspension. So probably an adjustability issue. Probably get some compression and rebound fixed on that rear, but I can kind of feel it kind of real loosey-goosey back there. But this is again, this is kind of like the R9T, man. There's no frills or thrills to this bike. There's no heated hand grips, there's no cruise control, there's no fancy electronics. I don't believe there's even any ABS on this bike. So it's real no frills, real basic bike. High beam, low beam, blinkers. Got our blinker up here. Of course, we've got probably our shift light in the middle. Red lines looks like out at 12, 13 4,000 RPMs for a single. But let's get that thumper going. So nice little pickup. But when you're on the throttle there, that's when the vibration really takes off on this bike. So just cruising here, 5th gear, 4,000 RPMs. The bike is sailing like a dream right now. There's no vibration in the motor, there's no vibration in my handlebars. I can see clear out of the mirrors, and these mirrors, as you guys know, are notorious for when you get rumble, these things just sit and vibrate. So very nice as far as vibration on a single cylinder thumper. So that's very nice. Fuel cap's kind of cool. But I love the tank, man. The design of this tank. I wish that other manufacturers would get into more of this cooler styling, man. Tanks, we can do so much with them, you know. They're behind fairings, so it doesn't necessarily have to be super aerodynamic. But how they've done this, they've done just an amazing job on the design of this bike, because you step back from this thing and you think this is a 2025 or 2030, you know, you think that this bike is really ahead of its time. It looks like a bike that someone custom built in their garage by hand. And if you like that style, if you like that look, this is the Vitpilen. Is I'm impressed. Now, prices, that might be a tough question. I was having a hard time finding pricing on this bike because, of course, this was a last minute ride, so I couldn't plan ahead. So everything I've told you, I've kind of had to find on the fly. But I couldn't really find much pricing on this bike. I did see something about 9,000, somewhere around there, but I think that was under a used bike, so I don't know if they're more than that or if that's marked up. So I apologize for not knowing the exact price, but I know that they're a little bit more up there. As far as the reliability of Husqvarna, I believe Husqvarna has a pretty decent reputation as far as reliability, but we'll also have to give Husqvarna this on that end, is Husqvarna's really not made bikes like this that are really big high mile bikes. You get the super motards, and those bikes are, you know, canyons and you know, on the twisty tracks and stuff like that, so you don't get many miles on those bikes. So it's a little interesting to see what kind of miles you get out of a bike like this that really is going to be intended to ride more miles. So the Husqvarna exhaust on this also had a very cool design. It's like a blacked out muffler. The exhaust kind of had a cool design. It was definitely a little more of that futuristic look. But the sound, sorry, I had the visor up as I was kind of getting down into the downshift, and it actually sounded really good. It had a little crackle and pop to it, so yeah, it sounds really decent. So oh, look at this. Oh, that's rebound, compression, rebound. Huh. Well, that's kind of nice. So they've got on the front forks white and red, and this one is marked rebound, and this one is marked compression. So that's very nice that they've kind of laid that out for you. Now, I obviously always have my suspension always set up from, you know, Dave Moss or someone, JPH. So for me, it doesn't really matter. But the Husqvarna Vitpilen 701, kill switch is off, key is off. So the exhaust, you can kind of see very cool style. tank, very cool. It's just a rad, it's actually a very, very cool looking bike. I like it. I'm gonna find out what they're asking for this thing, and we'll put it in the we'll link it in the description below, because I'm interested to see what they're gonna sell this thing for. But it's a very cool bike. It's a very cool around town. If you're in San Francisco, this is the bike for you. Very cool. The Vitpilen, I just like saying it, Vitpilen. But thanks, guys. We're back here at A&S, Triumph, Ducati, BMW, S1000RR here for service. I won't even get into it. But thanks, guys, for watching. Until next video, thank you guys again. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. And comment down below what should be we riding. But till next video, we'll see you then. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.